Look who's in studio. Matt Fisch from AEye, stock symbol LIDR. Is that your graphic, or did we do that for you? I think Devin did that. Look at that.
Yeah, I think you whipped it up when we were out in the waiting room.
Wow.
It's beautiful. Love it.
Technology, huh?
Let's talk about, for the folks who haven't seen you before, because you've been on and off for the last couple of years with us, and it's been great to follow the story. What is the story behind AEye?
So, interesting combination and play on words.
Yes.
We are the sight. We bring sight to the machine. And
Right.
I think, look, most people out there today are using chatbots like ChatGPT, and that operates in the virtual world today through the keyboard or the microphone. This guy here brings sight to ChatGPT in effect and allows it to operate in the physical world. We call it physical AI.
That's millions of dollars in military application technology inside of one little box over the years, right?
Right, 20 years ago, this was science fiction. You may have found it in a covert military operation. Today, we've made this available to all. Essentially, it's about the size of a cell phone.
Yeah.
And does some really impressive magic.
How big would that have been 20 years ago?
Maybe only half the size of this table.
And it's beyond just automotive. Like, it's beyond cars. I know in this graphic here.
It's not limited to autonomous vehicles, correct?
That's right. I think when I was here last time, we talked about how it can improve safety and also maybe take the driver out of the equation sometimes. But this notion of physical AI is actually expanded. For example, I know we've read in the news lately about some near misses. One at LAX recently.
Yeah.
And this guy's just like, he doesn't fall asleep. He never closes his eyes, and he's always watchful. And believe it or not, this can see 1.5 kilometers. Probably take you about 25 minutes to walk that far. We look far ahead. We can see night or day and look out for those potential accidents that might happen.
Is this all based upon not radar, but LiDAR way back to its core? Because wasn't LiDAR sort of the first technology that could see the next car in front of you when you put it on, when you put your car on what's the word?
Cruise control?
Cruise control.
Yeah, I think most of that cruise control today uses radar, but LiDAR has been around for a very long time. Instead of using radio waves, it uses light that happens to be, well, we can't see it with the human eye, but it actually uses a form of light.
The other piece of it too, as you just brought up, is the human error factor. There is none, which is why I see in that very narrow example of autonomous vehicles, the minute there's a true autonomous vehicle where you can get inside it, it can drive you and park you and not worry about it. It's when outer lying areas, outer like 40 minutes away from the city, turn more valuable because you get in your car at 8 in the morning and you're at work. For some of those people who can go to work without, you're saving 4 hours of traffic sometimes in your life. There's all kinds of productivity and economic advantages to it. Do you think it's going to be adopted sooner than first anticipated?
I think it's coming. I've worked in the automotive industry for the last 10, 12 years. And I think we're already starting to see signs, right? Imagine you could do, if you're a business person, you could do a video conference while you're riding in your car. It's very difficult and not very safe to do that today. I think that's coming within the next decade for sure.
You brought up LAX. Talk about aviation. Is that going to be a vertical very quickly, or is it?
Absolutely, it's a very hot topic, especially with what you see going on in the news. But the fact that this can see so far ahead, call it seeing the future.
Yeah.
This allows it to operate on a plane, which may be moving at 300 miles an hour or more in order to react. You probably learned this when you got your driver's license. Sure. The faster you're going, the more distance you need to allow. Well, when you're flying a plane, you really need to see far ahead. And it's a great market for this, and we're seeing a fair amount of traction there.
What does that do to the existing radar model on a plane? Does this amplify it by 10? Does it amplify it by 100? Because I would assume they use it augmented with that still, as opposed to a replacement, correct?
Right. What radar is great at is seeing very, very far, even miles ahead, and large objects, like, for example, another plane. This kind of combines the benefit of a radar where you can see far with a camera, so you can actually know what it is.
Yeah.
Matt Fisch is the CEO, AEye, AEye. Their ticker symbol is LIDR. So, radar is able to see another plane and does not have a problem with clouds or, weather. I have to assume the same thing with that as well. It not calling it X-ray, but it sees everything or through everything.
Right. Radar does penetrate certain types of objects that LiDAR cannot.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest advantages for LiDAR is it sees in the dark. And again, that what I would say be the biggest difference is seeing in the dark and being able to really see to identify what an object is, whereas a radar might see a blob.
Right.
I can see, well, it's a cat up ahead or a balloon or whatever it is.
Matt, let's talk about the company a bit. CES was a game changer for you guys. You have a lot of there's a lot of partnerships coming from those things. Let's talk about that a little bit in terms of integration with other companies and acquisition potentially, but also growing the company because that's what it's about now.
Absolutely. We hit on this in our last earnings announcement, and we've got over 1,000 active dialogues ongoing. There's so much interest in so many different industries. It's unbelievable. We talk about using AI, artificial intelligence. Thank God for that, because 60-person company handling 1,000 customers, we wouldn't be able to do it without it. So very busy.
What's next for you guys as a company? How's the runway in terms of capital formation? What's the sales cycle looking like, and as far as adoptability?
Look, we had a great year last year in terms of making sure the company had enough capital. I think what we talked about is we got a 3-year runway and liquidity to survive at least a couple of years beyond that. I'm super confident that with the market demand that we're seeing, we're going to be in great shape. And with the customer demand we're seeing, it's all about executing. And
what happens when the government comes in and starts wanting to make massive orders, and now you're a $6 billion company? Do you have the capacity to do that right away? Because I think your technology is robust enough to where that's the next step.
This has been one of the key challenges in the industry: is can you manufacture at scale? And we have a very unique partnership in that regard with a very experienced automotive supplier. We've already got a factory up and running, and by the end of this year, we'll be able to manufacture tens of thousands of units per year. And so we're ready for that next wave of demand.
What are you most excited about here coming up in the next 18 months? Is it closing existing deals, or is it finding new customers?
I think closing the deals. We're very deeply involved with many customers, but I think the thing that just jazzes me personally is every time you walk into one of these guys, the new use cases, saving lives.
That you guys ever thought about?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. We can use this for those type of conversations, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's so. And with you, when do you think this goes from B2B to B2C somehow? Because there's geeks out there looking at this thing going, I want one of those for my fill in the blank at home. You ever going to be a B2C company?
I think maybe there's that's a little bit further down the road. I mean, we all have LiDARs in our iPhones today. We don't always think about that. But I think this needs a few years to cook before we get to that B2C.
Well, I'm glad you're partially in San Diego. We can get you in the studio every once in a while.
No doubt.
Seeing a lot more of Matt Fisch.
And he's a Padres fan, so. Hey.
Well, because he goes out his back patio and you just watch him right there.
Pitching change.
Try not to tell you where
Shoot the
everywhere.
show from his place next.
Matt Fisch, CEO. AEye is the company, AEye, their ticker symbol, LIDR, website, aeye.ai.